Illustrator and just do a little demo about how Live Paint works. And so I've got instructions right here. You can turn them on, turn them off, and you can see here in the instructions that the Live Paint tool is the letter K. That's the quick key, Mac or PC. And then the other tool you will need, Shift plus L, is the Live Paint selection tool. And then you can click on the link to Hannah Olsen's Prezi demo, or you can just select this and paste it into your URL. But just to briefly explain how the process works. So you're going to do something in this shape here, the circular shape. And so I'm going to just get my pen tool and I'm going to click and drag and come over here and click and drag. And then I'm going to hit Shift C to get a shape here. And maybe the letter A. Okay, so I've divided this thing in two, and I don't want to have a fill color, so I'm going to say no fill color. So you can see I just got a line here, and I've got kind of an S curve in the middle of it. Okay, and so I've got two things. I've got this circle, and I've got the line I drew, and I'll select them both, and then I have two options. I can go to Object, and then down to Live Paint and Make. Or I can hit the letter K, which gives me the Live Paint bucket. And you will see in the Live Paint bucket here, in the toolbar, I'm in Adobe Workspace, Window, Workspace, Essentials Classic, you can see here. I like it. I've got a bigger screen. I can have toolbars and panels and stuff out. If you're on a small, like a 12-inch laptop or something, maybe you'll want Essentials, but all the tools you'll possibly want are here. If you're in Essentials, I'm not 100% sure the Live Paint tool bucket's out. You may have to click these ellipses to get it. But in Essentials Classic, as you can see, I explained this on day one, all of the tools are in the toolbar. So if I click here, you'll see we have the Live Paint bucket, and it looks like it's hiding under the Shape Builder tool. See that? And so there's the Live Paint bucket, and there's the Live Paint tool, K and Shift plus L. Okay, so with the Live Paint bucket tool selected, so again, I could either go to Object, Live Paint, Make Live Paint group, or it says right here, click to make Live Paint group. And so I expanded my layer panel just so you can see what happens. And I never, in my professional work, I never expand my layer panels. I only do that for students so you can see what's going on. I could have 1,000 sublayers here, and I don't want to dig through for every line. So I'm just going to click, and what happened here in my sublayer, it says Live Paint. Live Paint there. I thought it said Live Paint group. It just says Live Paint, but it is a group. It's in a folder. So uh, nothing drastic, but we'll come back to there because it will get more drastic. And you can see as I hover over here, these areas get highlighted in red. And also there's a paint bucket with three uh, tabs in it. And as I click my left arrow or my up or down arrow, you can see those things change. And what they're doing, I'm going to pull my swatches panel out and expand that. So you can see right now I have red selected, and uh, and then if you look on my light paint bucket, the swatch to the right is yellow. Look right here, my swatch panel, yellow. The swatch to the left is black. And so it's just sampling what's in this area. So if I click there, it's going to be red. And then if I not tab, if I hit my right arrow key, it goes to the left. Or I can just come down here and click on any color I want. And so now it's going to be, you see, I've got different colors in uh, my light paint bucket. So if you got a ton of um, of swatches open, you'd be clicking a long time to get what you want. So you could come up here and say, yeah, I just want to click a color and click. And there we go. And so, well, that's not so impressive. I'm going to select just this with the group selection tool. And I selected just the regular selection tool. And you can see with the regular selection tool, it moves everything. Why? Because it's a group. And so if I go to the group selection tool and just select this piece right here, look what happens as I move it. It is coloring, oops, and then that oops is a good thing. So because it just showed you something happened. I'm gonna as I move that, or I'm gonna hit R for rotate and just click in the middle of this. And watch what happens as I rotate that around. You can see the area that's divided, the red to the chartreuse color is moving around because it's live paint. Um, and then back to the group selection tool. As I move it, you get less or more of that. But what happens is it has to it's looking for intersecting lines. And so it's very much like what we've seen with the Pathfinder tool um, or the Shape Builder tool when we're dividing areas. And so, but if it doesn't overshoot, watch what happens here as I pull this up and just like consider this as like liquid. Uh, if I pull that up, the liquid can flow through this isthmus here, this opening, and now it's all that color. So I'll undo that. And so uh, that's that's kind of how it works. But back to letter K, so I could select patterns as well. Um, I can select gradients. So any swatch we can do. So that's how the basics of that tool. I'm going to go to the Hannah Olson presentation here. And so you're creating a simple drawing. And so she's creating, this is going to be a moon and mountains. And then make it a live paint group. So I've already done that. Just letter K and then click on it. And then, um, so now see it's a live paint group. And then start filling the areas with color like I had just done. So there's the live paint bucket, and you can see the three swatches we're choosing from. And then Hannah's also saying you can also paint the strokes, okay? And so by default, the light paint group won't be painting strokes. Mine is. Why? Well, because I've already turned it on. But if you double click on the tool itself, it will open up the light paint options. Um, Also, object, live paint. There's some more options here. Gap options, that's a different thing. So release, you don't want to do release or it's just going to turn it back into vector. I'll undo that. Options, since I'm here, light paint options, and you don't want to do expand either, but I'll show you gap options. So gap options, that's just going to show you if if you're not overshooting and there's just a small opening, it'll fill the gaps and you have medium, small, custom gaps. You can do that. And so I don't really need to do that. But those are the options in the pull down menu. If you double click here, you get the live paint bucket panel. So this is a panel. And you can see I have paint strokes checked. Yours would be unchecked because that's the default. Once you check that, and also you can change the highlight color if you want to any color. Default is red, and I like that. And it also gives you how thick your stroke will be when you're highlighting it. Okay, so back to I can paint the strokes. I could click there, and I've got a red stroke, but it's really thin. I could still go to my stroke panel over here. Gotta hide some stuff here. I'm gonna pull my swatches over here. Here's my strokes, and I could say, okay, I still want it to be thicker stroke, theoretically, um, and color that stroke. And you see now I've got a red stroke, and I could color that stroke, and it's red. But you see, it's only doing part of that circle, even though that circle is, if I get my group selection tool, it's an ellipse. You see that? But it only did partial section um, of the stroke because there's an intersecting line here. So again, if I wanted to color it, maybe I want this one to be a different color stroke, green. And there you go. It kept the weight that I had. I don't particularly use the stroke one here. I mean, you could do that, and it's good to teach you that. But if I'm going to change my strokes, I'll probably just do it in the stroke panel here and um, show the options. And I can change the strokes size and stuff. Or I could say, all right, I want all my strokes to be um, like this gray here. Oops, that was the fill color. I got to pay attention to what I'm doing. I got to select stroke here. See, it's got question marks, so that means there's more than one stroke. And if I click that, you'll see all of them are, whatever stroke color I pick. So that's how I would generally myself tend to do it. But you can, so I made that stroke thinner. You can do that with the light paint bucket tool, but yeah, to me, it's not a huge reason why to use the light paint bucket tool to paint strokes, but you can do it. Okay, so she's showing you how you can do that. Click the next arrow, and she's painting the stroke. And then now she has removing unneeded lines. And so what she's done is Shift L, the, so I've got these overshoot lines, and I don't want them. So I'll say Shift plus L, and that'll give me the light paint tool. And see, when I select that, I'll zoom up so you can see what goes on. It highlights it with this kind of halftone dot pattern. And I could just hit delete there if I wanted to. I'm going to hide all my tools, or I could hold shift and select them both. So I've got both of those selected, and now I can just hit delete. And so you can delete unwanted lines. And so that's what Hannah's doing here, deleting unwanted lines. And then you could also, like in this instance here, with the Life Paint selection tool, Shift L, you could click and drag a marquee. So this is what I would do rather than hold Shift and click and hold Shift and click. I would just click and drag a marquee and it would select all of those and then hold shift to click these two. You wouldn't want to select into the light paint area because it will delete whatever is selected. So that's how you can delete. Oh, and so that's a fun thing she does with the moon here because you had just two circles overlapping and she just deleted the other parts to get a crescent moon. That's fun. And um, then adding more lines. And she says optional. And so I'll demo that on mine. And so you're going to do something more complex than what I've done here. This wouldn't give you many points on this assignment. So I'm going to hit P for pen tool, and uh, I'm going to go click, 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 click. I'm just doing like a lightning bolt kind of zigzaggy thing through there. Why? I don't know. Just thought it'd be fun. And then I'll make sure everything's selected and I'll hit K and ooh, look at this. Why is this whole area selected and not just this little area or that little area? Um, well, maybe do I need another line? Yeah, that's probably got to be it. Let's see. It's not. Okay. It's not. Whoops. It's not doing that. Answer, if you go to, again, I only expand my layers when for students to see. You can see in my layer path, these two layers are not part of the live paint group. And so what you have to do, if you want this to be live paint, you got to drag them into that live paint folder here or group here in your layer panel. And now when I hit K, oh, look, great. So it's only doing the um, area I want. So now I can say, okay, I want that color there, and I want that color there, and I want this color there. Um, Decided I wanted that to stay blue, and um, there. And so it's light paint group. And then again, I want to get rid of these shapes. I can, or I can still move them around. Again, it's still life paint. It's adjustable. I can scale, I can rotate, I can like get a direct selection tool and say, well, I want this one to, be down here more. And whatever you want. I want this one to be get a little more pointy. Okay. And so you can do that sort of thing. But then again, I'm going to move that down just a touch so that it's clearing that area. Shift plus L. And so I can, here's the Shift plus L, the live paint selection tool. Select that by clicking and dragging a marquee or hold Shift, select two. I can hit delete. And so those excess lines are gone. So here's where I'm going to shift and drag a marquee. This is what I mean. I click and drag, and you see I don't have to totally encompass that whole shape. Just drag over part of that, and you see it selects those. Delete, and so that's my demo piece. So do a nice scene. And so here's Hannah explaining you got to have them in the same group, and she shows dragging it into the light paint group there. And there you go, live paint.